Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a big Tuesday. It's only Tuesday. Gosh, so pumped to be here with you guys here on Orange Bloods Live as we are every night at 6 p.m. Cody, got a bunch to get to tonight. We put a picture of Kenny Baker on the thumbnail because he's got a big test ahead of him this year, man. I did a breakdown. I watched the Maryland transfer, Leavon Johnson, put up somewhere between 10 and 12, all 22 clips from watching his games this last year versus Iowa and versus we'll go through it and remember who it was whenever I go watch. I remember it was the Iowa game that he was a lot better in than the second game. I forget who it was already. I can't believe that. But we'll go through some of the clips and kind of talk about Leavon Johnson and where he fits in, talk about the defensive line, talk about what Kenny Baker kind of has on his hands here, what he might see in that guy. But before we get to that, you and I were talking before we came on about Felix Ojo. Jason put up an update from his visit to Colorado over the weekend. And you were saying that you listened to the modcast and you thought Jason was being way too cockamamie.
Well, cockamamie is
I'm just kidding. That's not what you said.
maybe a touch aggressive on the thought, but I kind of agree a little bit when I get where he's coming from. Was saying like, oh, Colorado's not really a worry, shouldn't be a worry for anybody when it comes to the recruiting perspective. But here's the facts, right? Colorado, more so than anything, Dion has been pretty good about nabbing a player that's he's been good at nabbing a 5-star. You go back to Travis Hunter. You obviously flipped him from Florida State. You go to Cormani McLean, the cornerback in 2023. Got him. He was the 18th ranked player in the country. He was the number 1 corner. Jordan Seaton the next year was the number 22 overall player, the number 1 tackle in America. Last year he gets Juju Lewis, who was the number 1 quarterback in America. He finished as the number 10 overall player, but he was the number 3 quarterback when the dust settled. He's went in and grabbed the top 25 player every single year. And I'm not sure, like, I'm not going to be the one that comes out here and goes, hey guys, Felix Ojo was there this weekend. Felix Ojo is going to Colorado. Like, I'm not going to be the one that comes out and says that, but I'm going to be the one that comes out and says, don't just say he went there to visit Dion because it's, the mountains and he wanted to go see Dion. Like, I think there's at least a little bit there when you look at the top 25 right into the top 30, like how many of these guys have been on campus in Colorado? Not many of these guys that you go through the top 25 right now and you go, all right, what do they need? They need offensive line. All right. So if you go through and you look at the offensive tackles that are uncommitted, you got Jackson Cantwell, the top kid in America, Emmanuel Iheanacho, who we've both talked about. He's a monster.
Yep.
Both of these guys are pretty like leaning into Oregon right now. And Iheanacho is either going to go, feels like to Oregon, Penn State, Maryland. Cantwell is almost a lock to like Oregon. Past that at the offensive tackle position, Ojo is number 11 in America. Scroll past Ojo, you have to go all the way down for the next tackle. Kevin Brown, 35th overall in America. Obviously, that's fringe 5-star territory. He's been committed to Penn State since like July.
You have to scroll down to 35 to find a player that has visited
a tackle to get to a tackle, the next tackle.
All right.
Right. And I know they had Brett Colajoy in from IMG, and he's a former, from Colorado kid, and that thing all makes sense and whatnot. But you can't ignore the fact that Dion has had success with getting a 5-star every year. It was Travis Hunter. Sure, he plays the same position as Dion. Then there's a lot more there to that conversation. He was at Jackson. Cormani McLean didn't end up working because of off-field stuff. A little bit of a head case. He's at Florida. Then they get Jordan Seaton, who comes in as a true freshman, starts at left tackle. Do we both agree that we think Felix Ojo could probably come in on day 1, start at tackle?
For Colorado?
Yes.
Colorado's offense,
Felix Ojo in general, he could show up on campus and play tackle, right?
I think based on everything that I've seen, yes. I was a little bit surprised, though, to hear today Jason say he's still only 16 years old.
And?
I know. It's just that it just goes to show, just how much more upside he has. You know what I mean?
That's kind of where my mind goes. Is like, yes, I understand that. Like, yeah, it probably feels, Texas is a good lean here. He's been to, he's at Michigan yesterday. He's taking these visits. I'll just say, like, and I know it feels like you go with the ebbs and flows of recruiting, and these guys go on these visits and they say positive things. To me, the Zayden Krempin thing is kind of felt like an LSU. He just feels like an LSU fit. And Ojo, like, I'm not gonna be the first one that comes out here and says he's gonna go to Colorado or anything, but if what we've always heard about John Turntine, this John Turntine's going to Texas. Like, that's just kind of what the vibe is around Turntine. If Turntine, let's say Turntine commits, right, in the next 2 months, 3 months, commits to Texas, hypothetical here, right?
Yeah.
Crampton goes, well, I'm going to go to LSU because I like LSU. Then you have Turntine committed. Let's say you get another one of these tackles that isn't one of the top tier tackles. All of a sudden, Ojo's looking at it and he goes, well, they got 3 tackles already.
But I don't.
And he goes, all right, Dion wants me to come out here and start at tackle. And it's going to be in Jordan Seaton. Jordan Seaton's probably going to go top 10, not this year, but next year.
Who's
if
the
he continues?
Do they have an offensive line coach? It's one of these ex-NFL guys.
Phil Lodeholt was there. He left. I think he's now at Mississippi State. The current, I don't know who, he just left this past year.
Okay.
Colorado.
He always hires guys that are kind of famous. You know what I mean? He brings in like Warren Sapp.
They hired Gunnar White. He was promoted to the position in February. White is supported by former NFL players George Hegeman and Andre Garrod.
Oh. It's not
either of those guys. I feel like I've heard the Garrod name.
Garrod used to play for the Cowboys.
There you go. And then Gunnar White has been with him since Jackson State. So,
man, dude, when I was talking today on the podcast, I wasn't saying just to completely discount him. I was just
I didn't say you said that,
but I was saying if you do it, if you're prone to worry, like maybe a reason not to worry is that all these guys are going to take a lot of visits everywhere, and it's just I think the interesting thing is like it was an official visit to Colorado where it was like I know that Jalen Lott was there, but I think that the heartburn was the fact that it's obvious that Texas is kind of locked in as their number one targets at important position. All the positions are important, but in a really important position is left tackle, right? Ojo's their number one target. He's been told he's the number one target. It feels like that's kind of out there. KJ Edwards, it's clear ever since the change in the running back coach. It feels to me like he's been the preferred target.
So interesting you bring that up. It's a very well-timed, intentional, non-intentional, because we didn't even talk about this before the show, but non-intentional slurve is new offer today, about an hour or two ago. Carson Baker. I haven't watched him yet because it just happened, and I've been working on some other stuff. Carson Baker, running back out of Langston Hughes, class of 2026, 4-star running back, 6'2", 200 pounds. As it runs a 10.6 and 100 meter. Was offered by Texas today. 3 days ago, he released his final 5. Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida State. Texas offered him today.
What's his name?
His name is Carson Baker, Carsyn. Carson Baker.
Carsyn?
Yep.
Oh, gosh. I've never heard of that.
He's 6'2", or I mean, Rivals has him at 6'2", 210. His personal bio has 6'2", 200 pounds on Twitter. Langston Hughes in Fairburn, Georgia. So they're into Georgia. He's a top 200 kid. He's the 8th ranked running back in America right now.
He's tall.
He's got an OV set for A&M, and he's got a Final 5 list like I just read off. I don't know if I wonder if that A&M OV is official on Rivals because his Final 5 came out 3 days ago, and it has Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida State.
Can you see him on there?
Yep. Long legs.
Yeah. Long legs, long strider, tall, kind of upright runner.
10.600 meter.
Yep. I'd like to see I'm not sure how fast he gets up to speed. I'd like to see how fast he gets to the kind of second and third level.
Break one. There it goes.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, it's
he's not even at full. It doesn't even look like he's at full tilt.
Well, that's the thing. It's like with these guys, these guys with these long legs, they just kind of look like quarter horses. You don't realize how fast they're going until you just look at everybody else. You know what I mean? But this is literally my first time watching him here. I can't really tell who he
Man, he bends that edge.
Golly, he really is deceptively very, very fast. I
He gets
can't
that
tell.
edge. I mean, the way he took that looked like it was supposed to be an inside carry, and he completely torched everyone to the corner.
But does he look yeah, but he's not very sudden. Does he kind of remind you a little bit of DeMarco Murray?
Mm.
Like a high school version of DeMarco Murray?
That's an interesting one.
I mean, dude, he looks like a good player. Looks like a good player to me. I mean, if you could, or do you know who he looks like? He looks like a fast TJ Yeldon.
I see somebody. Who do I see?
I think he's
kid from Florida State 4 or 5 years ago.
Not
high end recruit.
Cam Akers.
No. High end recruit that didn't hit.
Oh,
Williams.
I don't. Was he a draft guy?
I don't think so.
Okay, then I wouldn't have known. Anyway, well, that means think he looks pretty good. So what does that mean to you?
I don't know. It has to mean something. It has to mean something has happened, and there's after. I feel like
it could mean just something that's happened with like the moonshot Xavier Crowell stuff or something like that.
What say that again?
It couldn't just mean that something's happened with like the Xavier Crowell.
I think that's exactly what it has to mean. Yeah. Like obviously the Osborne thing happened a while ago, and he committed this last weekend, and then Crowell and KJ Edwards were like the two, and KJ has felt like the the biggest lean towards Texas.
Yeah.
And Jason has said, like, he feels like he's going to stay in the state of Texas. He also went to Colorado this weekend. I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, at this stage of the game, again, it's May 6th and you're offering a kid, and he's already got like his final 5 list, and like you're preparing. They always talk about like long-term relationships. I have this wonder in my head is like, how long has this relationship been? Have they been talking? I feel like they wouldn't talk to this kid. He's top 10 running back in the country and have not offered him to this point unless it was a strategic thing.
After he dropped the top 5.
But
Texas brought in all these new coaches and new assistants and stuff. They'll have all these different connections to Georgia.
Yeah.
It could be something where it's like the long-termness of it could have had to do with something that happened with like, what's his name? Errol, whatever. The guy that was at Georgia, that just came in from Georgia Tech.
The player personnel guy, Errol.
Errol Joe. Yeah. And then, Chad Scott, like has all the Georgia connections. It's like it could have been something like that, but it is a weird timing for an offer to do. You said they did it right on the heels of him putting out his top 5.
Well, yeah, he put his top 5 out on the 3rd, and then they offered him today, according to his Twitter.
It's like, hey, we'd like to be on a list like that.
Put us in the top 5. Hey, make it a top 6.
Here's an offer. Well, I like Carson with an SYN, man. Carson, what's his name? Carson Baker. Carson Baker. Carson Baker. Yep. Looks like a stud. Looks like he plays a little bit of defense too. So, all around good athlete. But anything else on the Colorado stuff, or is that just that's kind of what you had to say about it? Just
that. I think
no worries.
I just think writing the Colorado stuff off is a bad process.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying that. Sorry, Oscar Elizondo's comment threw me off. My brain just went to a different place completely. I don't even know what I was going to say.
Well, you're saying it's a bad process, and
it's a bad process because, like I said, I'm not going to say that Felix is going to go to Colorado, but to just, like I said, man, they've done well getting a 5-star every year, and he feels like a guy that would make sense.
As long as we're talking about processes, all of the meat from Texas Beef Traders is processed right there on site in Mason, Texas, right up the road, 70 miles 70, 75 miles away, probably from me. Um, from the meat shop there in Lakeway, Texas Beef Traders. MTX Ranch is, I think, 90 miles. And the meat is processed tomorrow. They'll come in with a fresh shipment that was processed 13 days ago and hung there, never frozen, and brought right into the shop. If you walk into the shop and you look at the fresh section right there on the first three coolers, that's all going to be meat that is vaccine free. It's antibiotic free, steroid free, no weird shots, no cockamamie antibiotics, no all non-GMO, grass-fed meat. If it's finished with human grade quality ingredients, and it's only finished with those ingredients that aren't grass. If something happens, like it sometimes happens here in Texas, where it's like we don't get that stuff coming from that wet stuff coming from the air that makes the grass come up from the ground, right? That's the only reason they're not going to be completely grass-fed animals, never commingled with any other herd. You get 10% off at Texas Beef Traders whenever you let them know that you heard about them on Football with Friends. So make sure and go check them out right in the heart of Lakeway, Loman's Crossing and 620, or TexasBeefTraders.com. We have beef jerky. I'll put up the link right here where you can go check that out and make sure and get your beef jerky from Texas Beef Traders. Cody and I have 4 signature lines available up there for you guys. So check it out. Go to Texas Beef Traders. Tell Darren we said hello. Grab some drinks. Just tour the shop, man. It's an awesome place. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com.
Did you see 2 things? One, did you see the email we got from Poncho today about their brand new Western shirt?
Yeah, it's a cool looking shirt. It's kind of a white one with those light blue vertical stripes.
Yeah, it's called the Get in Line.
It's a good looking shirt.
It's a dang good looking shirt, dude.
Yeah.
And I've been sitting here waiting. My wife just got home like 20 minutes ago, and I was waiting for her to get home. I was like, should I get this thing? I haven't asked her yet. I'm going to ask her as soon as I get off the show, but I got to put another order in.
You're getting too many of those ponchos, man.
The whole closet's going to be full, dude.
Wild, dude.
It's getting close. Second thing, let me hit you with this. So, like I said, the comment that threw me off, and I wasn't going to bring this up because I have no reason to. Oscar said, "Who have you entered, Sandman?" And Sandman entered my head.
Yeah.
Tomorrow in Blacksburg, you know for the Virginia Tech entrance to their football stadium, they play Sandman. Metallica is going to be in Blacksburg tomorrow night for the first and only time ever, and it's going to be a 20-year tribute because they started doing Enter Sandman 20 years ago at Lane Stadium. 20-year tribute to Enter Sandman. Metallica is going to be performing at Lane Stadium. It's like a 4.5-hour drive for me, dude. I've been kind of pulling out my hair for the last like week and a half thinking about driving up there.
Have you ever seen Metallica live?
Never.
It
feels like one of those things. It's like, if I don't do it, I'm going to be pissed.
I saw them live once at South Park Meadows, and it's South Park Meadows now. It's like it's just a giant shopping center, but it used to be this like big concert venue in Austin. Mm-hmm. And on that show, Suicidal Tendencies and this other band called Candlebox opened up for them. It was kind of a famous 90s band. And then I've seen them also. I think they went on tour with they were on tour with Guns N' Roses and Faith No More. Oh, when I was younger, and my big sister took me, and my mind could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that they were on tour with those guys. And people in the chat will remember if that tour actually happened. I think it was Guns N' Roses and Metallica.
92.
So that was a tour that actually happened.
1992, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, and Faith No More.
I was super young, but and my big sis took me. It's like it was that's something else. Hey, one other thing about Poncho Outdoors, and then we'll get to the
Leavon Johnson.
Yeah, I wanted to show this photo. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to though. Hold on. It says I got to open system preferences to do it. So
email it to me. Looks
like I'm not going to be able to do it. But it's a picture from my church and my son getting baptized where me and the pastor both wearing poncho. Anyway. So we need to talk about Leavon Johnson. Have you watched much of him?
Not since the day that all that stuff started breaking.
So he's the transfer from um, he's the transfer from
Maryland.
Maryland, and the games I watched were okay. So it was Iowa and it was Indiana, and maybe I can just pull up the screen here and I can just show it. But I think versus Iowa, it's worth. I, I don't know, man. I think it's worth. It, is this big enough to where you can actually? Probably not.
No, let's take down Poncho and then put us over here.
Is that big enough to where you can kind of actually see the play? All right, so here's a play right here, and remember this is Caleb Johnson right here, and this is an offensive line that there's for Iowa where it's like I'm not sure they were that star-studded of an offensive line, but it was Cody the kind of the knock that some evaluators had on him was that the offensive line just did a lot of laying the groundwork for him as far as this outside zone stuff. So it's a decent offensive line to kind of watch this dude play against, right? So Leavon Johnson, I believe he's right here in this one. He's number 90, and yes, you have to excuse me here with this one. And I think this is an outside zone play, and yeah, because the guard 77 is going to come out here at him, and you can see he just keeps a good.
Quarterback screwed Caleb a little bit on that.
Yeah, but it's good with he did. Yeah, he totally did. But what you see here is him doing a good job of just not really allowing that guy to get leverage to him to any way. He doesn't allow him to reach block him, and he also doesn't allow him to kick out, and he makes the play there, right? This play looks like he's aligned here, kind of inside eye, 4-eye. I forgot what play this is. Looks like he's 4-eye here on number 56. And we'll just look at it as we kind of see it. I forgot what happens here. So it's outside zone to the other way. Oh, yeah. So on this one, what you like, so he misses the tackle, which is terrible. But what you like here is, so what you want to do here with this, God, why are these guys popping up? Well, he's number 56 here, right? So this is an outside zone play. What you ultimately what you want to do the most is penetrate up through this guy's play side shoulder, right? And kind of get up here, square your hips to the line, and be able to disengage one way or the other. But what he does is he's like, this guy gets kind of unwieldy and out of control, and so he just does the smart thing. It's what any defensive lineman should do: is just push him into the cutback lane, you know. Just shove him right down to the cutback lane. He's like, where am I going to cut back now? Now, a true game breaker and a true difference maker here is gonna make a TFL, right? He just doesn't do it. Here's a bad play from him where he's got this kind of outside slant on, and he lets number 78 get into his body and just completely wash him out. What he should do right here is just turn into a big pile of laundry on the ground at the very least, and just clog this whole thing up. Right? He should not allow himself to be washed out like that. I like this play. I think he's right here at the 3 tech on between number 70 and number 78. Another one, kind of outside zone stuff. This is one where he does a good job disengaging and making that play. So, I mean, there's some plays that he makes that you actually think are kind of good. Watch this one, Cody. You don't see anything about this guy as far as his pass rush through the whole through these whole 2 games. He's a zero, but this is the closest thing you see. Watch this guard and watch his feet. Just watch the guard's feet and look at this forklift, this bull forklift that 90 puts on this poor dude. I can't imagine what the film room was like for this. Watch the guard's feet.
Oh, he got way out.
Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, he unbalanced himself.
He just put his feet in the air, dude. It's Mary Poppins stuff.
That's a good catch.
Yeah, so this right here. Oh God! So this is like where he is. This is where he has trouble. where he just doesn't get his hips square, doesn't get him up, just like a terrible, terrible play here. He does that kind of stuff at Texas, and like you know what
He'll
I
be on
mean?
the sideline behind
Yeah.
Alex January.
Here's another one. This is kind of right here at the zero tech where it's just a kind of a swim move going wrong. Again, another one where he's got to keep his hip pointer square, and he can't allow himself to get washed away after him doing this stupid thing, and he just does, and it's just there he goes, you know. So there are definitely some there, and this kind of shows him, this is a better job of him right there, right here at the point of the attack of the nose guard, holding up against Indiana, holding up against the run. But I'm sorry, he's not at the nose. He's here at kind of a 2-eye, and he's got to make that play.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, if you're a plus difference maker, you're going to make some of those plays that he made. Whenever I watch him, I see a guy who, in the grading scale, he generated production like once every 9.38 snaps, which puts him about on par with a 2019 version of Keandre Coburn, who was one of the least effective versions of Keandre Coburn. That
was like freshman, right?
Yeah, I don't remember, but I saw it was one of his worst years, at maybe his worst year at Texas.
Sophomore.
And so it was so that was the perfect comp. Both those guys were at 9.38 in the deep dig grading scale. But out of 17 Texas defenders last year that took at least 200 snaps, only 4 guys would have been less efficient than Leavon Johnson was, right? Now, I will say this: Travis Shaw was almost that exact level of efficiency during his UNC stuff. But the difference is the flashes that we saw from him were the true difference maker flashes that we didn't see just now from Leavon Johnson. And those difference maker flashes, I think, elevate Travis Shaw above this player as a prospect. Certainly this player is not on the Cole Brevard or Murad Watson level.
Yeah.
It's just, it is what it is. He looks to me like a guy who's going to come in and at Maryland, at Maryland, he didn't even come into like the 4th series of games. So I don't think I'm getting out over my skis to say he was a backup at Maryland. He's going to come in and be a backup at Texas. Right. But he looks like he's fine. He's got some things you can kind of like. I mean, he did at least once on those show that it was that right guard's fault, but I mean, he did overwhelm him with some play strength. So there's some things to like. I kind of like the way when he keeps his hips upfield, the way that he can, he can keep offensive linemen off of him and keep them from getting leverage in the outside zone run game, especially one with a guy like Caleb back there. But I'll just say I didn't come away thinking if Texas got a bunch of guys like that in the transfer portal this year, I would be really worried. I think if you have him as your 5th. I think he's your 5th kind of defensive tackle in the rotation. I think that sounds fine. And I think that that's going to be about where he ends up, which brings us to the whole thing about Kenny Baker, this being a big test. He's got 10 of these dudes.
Yep.
It's like, if I see Kenny Baker develop a guy like Leavon Johnson to play at a level that's even similar to, say, Jermaine Lole last year, I'm gonna look at that guy with like a Jedi-like reverence from moving forward. Not quite like Kyle Flood, but pretty darn close, man. I feel like he's got a lot of pieces. He's got a lot of pieces to work with. I mean, if you just look at the players he has to work with, he's got Murad Watson, Cole Brevard, Travis Shaw, Alex January, Hero Canoe, Leavon Johnson, Justice Terry, Josiah Sharma, Melvin Hills, Myron Charles, 10. So it's time. It's almost like it feels like you can just kind of stumble into getting your top 4 and having them be good. But I still think it's a big test whenever you consider it's like one of them's going to be Alex January. That, like we talked about, dudes. We talked about us not being necessarily that impressed with Leavon Johnson over the 5 snaps that I saw in these 2 games. And I'm like, and the fact that he's a 0 as far as the pass rush. And I was like, maybe that's just because Iowa, by the way, rushed 58 times in that football game, and they threw the ball 14 times. Right. So these guys had their cleats in the dirt ready for the run game. Right. So I'm like, we can't base it on that. It was not the same for Indiana. There was a lot of dropbacks in that game. But just for the heck of it, I went and looked at Cockamamie PFF, and that guy only had 3 total pressures on the whole season last year.
Yep.
Between quarterback hits, quarterback hurries, and sacks. 3. He's a kind of a zilcho as far as an interior pass rush presence.
Which is what we talked about the entire group of transfers that came in is like.
But Watson and Shaw showed mad flashes in that regard.
Yeah, potential traits.
Yeah, traits. This guy doesn't show the traits.
Yeah. I like I said, we've been saying this, but I think that this only further shows it. I think there's some flashes in what you just showed us. There's also some worry, and some of that worry. I don't know how this can be understood. I think I understand that I view things in a weird light sometimes, where I just kind of will tell myself in my brain, like, all right, like these kids came from wherever, XYZ, Maryland, Syracuse, et cetera, and in most cases, there's not a former NFL defensive line coach, right? A guy that coached both at the collegiate level and the NFL level. A guy that coached Christian Wilkins at Miami and has come into Texas and instantly like made his presence felt from a recruiting perspective and from a expectation perspective in Vernon Broughton and Alfred Collins. You know, I wouldn't say that their potential was fulfilled, but it, you know, compared to where we saw both of those guys a year before Kenny Baker got to Texas, they came mighty along, and they were both obviously drafted in the first 5 rounds. I think Vernon Brown was a 4th round pick, Collins was a 2nd round pick. Like, there's a lot that he brought to the table last year, and now you have these 5 dudes that came in. You got the freshmen that are in. This is a real big opportunity, real big test. And if Kenny Baker, you know, if anybody's going to be able to get the most out of each individual defensive tackle of this group, I think Kenny Baker's the guy to do it. Now, that's not saying he's like the best coach in America at defensive line, whatever, but I'm saying, like, to begin this, I know I'm rambling now, but my brain would tell me to just lean into it and just believe in Kenny Baker. Like we've believed in Kyle Flood with this offensive lineman. We got it from Trevor Gooseby this last year. We'll see what we get from Kojo and Baker, and NATO's supposed to start at left guard. Like, we're believing in Kyle Flood to just like look. NATO's ready to play at left guard.
Is Kenny Baker's big test? I mean, is it as big as Flood's? Because Kenny Baker at least has the numbers to throw at it.
Kenny Baker's, but here's the thing: like, there hasn't really been much of a question. All of our conversation the last 4 months has been 4 months, whatever, has been about the defensive tackles. We've been like, yeah, we could use a left guard. And they went out and they, like, you know, poked their head out at Pregnon and poked their head out at Pat Coogan, but they didn't really make a move at it.
Yeah, it's like Punxsutawney Phil, like, man. It's like 6 more weeks of winter.
D-tackle. And it's like,
yeah.
So that should tell us that everybody believes in Flood. If this is Kenny Baker's test, if Kenny Baker can it's about to swear, if he can make if he can make hay out of shortcut grass here with this concoction of defensive tackles from across America, this is his big thing that could to take him to the next level from a outside looking in perspective. And now on the inside, they obviously probably view him in this light already. That's why he's in the room. But I think people should really start to believe in Kenny Baker if he can get these guys. If he can get Murad and Travis, if he can get the most out of Travis, these 2 guys really, Leavon Johnson and Travis Shaw, if he can get these guys to really be contributors, this defense is going to be tough.
Yeah, for sure. There's a question in the in the chat about is it from Big Chad Gibson, about whether Kenny Baker coaches the edge guys on the D line as well, or he coaches like the defensive tackles and the nose tackles and stuff. They have Coach Coach
Allen Clark?
yeah, they have Alan Clark, and then also Coach PK. I mean, he's the defensive coordinator, but he's also like the outside linebackers coach. So they got they have Alan Clark to do that stuff, and they have uh, Coach PK that does that stuff as well. I'm trying to am I brain farting about another one?
Another coach?
Yeah, is there no?
Um,
That's it. Yeah, so it's those guys. Sometimes you'll see like the Ethan Burks and those dudes that play the strong side defensive end working over there with working with both the edge guys and the D line guys.
mm-hmm.
So, but like Colin Simmons is like he doesn't coach Colin Simmons if that makes sense.
Directly.
Yeah.
Doesn't coach
Well,
him.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure they like him. Well, yeah. Apparently, everybody likes Alan Clark, right? I think that I honestly think also that I'm not sure that everybody loves tequila, but I love tequila, and everybody loves money. If you want to save money, you got to go to Specs.
It's tequila time. Who's ready for a margarita? Shake things up all month long with discounts on Blancos, Reposados, and Añejo tequila during Specs Tequila Sale.
Hey,
It's
Cody.
like Narcos.
Hey, I got a quick question for you before we get out of here. We don't have to take this too long, but I wanted to ask you yesterday, what did you think about the stuff? I was reading in Ketchum's 10 Thoughts from the Weekend column. Of course, make sure to go to Orange Bloods and go check out all our stuff over there. But it was saying that some kind of one of his, maybe it was his like scatter shooting. I forgot what it was, something, and it was how Quinn Ewers' agent, I forgot his name, something Slavic. He's a guy that I've never met. I don't know his agent.
Ron Slavin.
Yeah, Slavin. Do we know him?
No.
Would I know him if I saw him? I think I might know him if
He's an old dude.
Yeah. Anyway, he was saying that he called around to NFL teams after the draft, and he was like, "What?" He's like, "What the hell, man? Like, what happened? Like just trying to get the postmortem of why Quinn fell so far." And he said, well, the word that he got was that everybody thought that he was a 3rd or 4th round pick, but after they got past there, that they didn't want to. They were hesitant to take him because they thought that he was like such a big name guy and came with such a big name and presence and stuff like that they thought he might cause issues in their quarterback room. And he said he thought that was chicken bleep. What do you think?
You just said bleep. That was funny to me. It is. Here's the thing. Like, even if you think that the being the last quarterback drafted in the 7th round because your name is too big, when like as an evaluator, I think you and I would both say like there's more potential in drafting Quinn Ewers to have him behind Geno Smith than there is behind drafting Cam Miller, who I like Cam Miller from North Dakota State, but he's like
Graham Mertz.
205. Graham Mertz. He's got a fine, big arm, but he's also got hurt towards ACL. Like what I'm saying, like in the Las Vegas thing, like there's more upside in putting Quinn in Las Vegas behind Geno in a room that you like. It's Geno's room for the next 2 years. Quinn, you're going to come in and play behind him, and you're similar to him than being like, oh, we're going to draft Cam Miller from North Dakota State, who's like 6 foot tall, 205 pounds, small, doesn't have a big arm. He's good at the Shrine Bowl, but when you're comparing the two things, it's like, I don't get it. I don't know. It smells, because we know that Quinn's a great kid and we know he doesn't have this baggage. Maybe it's because he doesn't have TikTok. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Cockamamie. It could also be agent talk. You know, it
I
could be
respect
agent.
the agent for coming out and saying this, but it doesn't move the needle for anything. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Well, we got a lot to still get to. We'll get to all the rest of it tomorrow. Now, you can email us, fwfemails@gmail.com. You can find us on X at Cody Carpentier, at Alex Dunlap NFL. Please remember, we're here every night at 6 p.m. We always ask, man, we're very respectful of your time. We like to get in, get out, talk football, make sure we're not wasting any of it. We know it's the one resource that you can't get back. So thank you. Thank you sincerely for being here. But if you like the show, man, if you could please subscribe to the show, if you could click the like button, it's free. It doesn't cost you any money. It's just, just click it. Also, doesn't cost you any money to let a friend know about the show. That helps us immensely. You guys have helped us to grow it. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it. And if this is your first time watching the show, all we ask is if you dig it, man, come back and watch tomorrow. We're here every night, 6 p.m. Central Time. All right? Deal? All right. Deal. Thank you. Love you guys, man. We appreciate you. We appreciate Poncho Outdoors. We appreciate Texas Beef Traders. We appreciate Specs. And we appreciate our good friend Andy Ludicky at myperfectfranchise.net. God bless y'all, man. We'll see you tomorrow. For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.